Hello there, and welcome to Women's Business.
My name is Dr. Mary Ann Shallcross Smith, known to most as Dr. Daycare, and this is my co-host, Amy Vogel. We'd like to welcome you to our mentoring program designed to educate our community on issues facing working women. We will be speaking to our guests in the areas art, sciences, health, education, law, medicine, politics, community service, military, and business.
The goal of the show is to provide information that comes only from personal experience and to pass this information down to our daughters, nieces, neighbors, family, and friends. Much of the content will relate to the guest speaker's journey in their profession, what they have learned most about this process, and what they wished they had known before this journey began. Since women-owned businesses are the fastest growing sector of our economy, my guests will close with what lesson they would like to pass on to the viewing audience.
Good morning and welcome to Women's Business. Today I would like to interview you, Emily Wanderer from the Social Enterprise Greenhouse. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. Tell me what the Social Enterprise Greenhouse is. The listening audience would love to hear all about this.
So the Social Enterprise Greenhouse is a nonprofit organization based here in Providence, Rhode Island. And we work with businesses that are do well, do good. So they're giving back to their community in some manner, and then also being financially sustainable. So they range in size, in stage, and what we do is connect them to resources, networks, and knowledge that they can use to build their businesses faster and better.
So when you say do well, do good, like what do you mean by that?
We call them social enterprises, and that can be a for-profit business that has a social conscience built into their mission, or it can be a nonprofit that is earning revenue through programs.
So tell me a little bit about social conscience. How do you make that discovery in a business?
Mm-hmm. Well, that is, there's a very wide tent to social enterprise for Social Enterprise Greenhouse. So, you know, if a business has a conscience and they want to do better, give back to their community in some way, that could come in hiring people with barriers to employment. They could have a governance structure that allows for ownership from the employees. They could have really stringent environmental rules. Any number of ways they could be serving folks who don't usually have access to their products or services, like healthcare, education, any of those areas.
So I make a phone call from Dr. Daycare and I call the Social Enterprise Greenhouse, and what do you say to me? Like, how do I get on board? Especially I like the part about hiring people with disabilities. That's pretty cool. I didn't realize it was a part of your organization.
Yeah.
So how do I make this connection?
So what we're looking to do is really connect with businesses at any stage, any industry, although we have a couple of focus areas in food and health and wellness. Okay. But we are looking for, to connect with any business. And what we're doing is listening to what the businesses need to grow and develop in a social enterprise way. So we'd want to hear your story.
Is there a common theme in what businesses need?
Yes, of course there's a common theme, but it's all so different, and our services are very customizable.
Oh, wow.
So we do have an Accelerator program that is, I'm sure folks have heard of a business accelerator. It's like 12-week intensive learning opportunity for an entrepreneur to kind of learn the key pieces of knowledge that they need to make their business grow, and actually it accelerates this process of kind of failing and coming out of the accelerator with a business model that's going to work at scale, hopefully. So that program is, we have it tailored for a certain stage of business, and then we replicate it in different industries.
Can you give me a couple of key points that would be in the training for that?
Sure. So the first half is really about finding out who your customer is.
Okay.
Understanding
Yeah.
your business model,
Yep.
and actually creating multiple business models that could work to deliver your value proposition to your target customer.
Yes.
And then you actually take elements of your business model out into the real world and test them.
Wow.
And
Where were you
so-
when I began? This is so cool.
And the idea is that we teach people this this process of iteration so
Yeah.
that they can test these necessary critical elements of their business before they put a ton of resources,
Money,
both
time.
financial and human, into a business that's not going to work. So we speed up the process of failure recognition, of pivots that need to be made, and create that process for them going forward.
I'm sure you work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and one thing with my staff, and I have the most amazing staff in the whole wide world. I'm so lucky to work with them every single day. And I just got back from vacation for 2 weeks, visiting all the national parks, and I truly go away just to give them a break because I have that entrepreneur brain, so I know what this is. But when you're an entrepreneur, you believe anything can work. You think anything's going to happen, and you have this idea like, oh my God, this could happen. And sometimes when you put it out there and it happens, it's very exciting, especially when you have a whole team that works along with you. But there's things in even the childcare that extended into children's birthday parties. Did not get out, did not happen. I found a lot of people on the Saturday were showing up for birthday parties, and the staff were like very difficult to get hired 3 hours at a time. So no one even taught me that aspect of the whole thing. I'm thinking birthday parties, children are gonna have a wonderful time. This is gonna be fantastic. And wow, when I showed up and had to do a birthday party on a Saturday afternoon, it totally changed my mind. I had done many in my life, but so how do you work with that? How do you actually tell an entrepreneur, this might not work? How do you do that in a gentle way?
Well, that's
Am I making
fortunately, yes.
Okay.
That's fortunately not my job.
Okay.
So one of the great things about our model is that we have a network of 250 advisors.
Whoa.
Yeah, that are volunteers to SEG that serve as mentors and coaches for entrepreneurs as they find out things like this about their customers or about the way that their organization is structured, that this particular service or product is not going to work. They're there to break the news and try to help the entrepreneur through it. And that's part of the whole role of entrepreneurship is testing things out and accepting that it's not going to work.
I was at a chamber meeting a few months ago, and I had heard one of the speakers say that entrepreneurism is kind of like decreasing. However, I did a lot of TED Talks on my trip in the last 2 weeks, and I'm hearing entrepreneur with the millennials are going up. So do you have any aspect on that? Because I think entrepreneurship is really somewhat the energy of our country, But it's like you said, financial and human time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard both of those statistics.
Yeah.
And I think for millennials, it's becoming quite easy to build a business online from, college. Like you can kind of do it on the side. And kind of this side hustle entrepreneurship has become quite trendy. But we're seeing in the social enterprise realm that the millennials are really driving business development.
Right.
And not only do they want to, when they're building a business, do they want it to be a social enterprise, but then they don't want to work for any business that isn't a social enterprise and doesn't have a social mission that they can get on board with and really feel like they have a purpose. So, to your point, I think either way, millennials are really driving this forward.
I believe you're right, absolutely. After I listen to these TED Talks, I really believe that. They are driving, and it's really, they really want to be involved in a business with that social piece. They really do. Give me some examples of social pieces that they really like.
Well, let's see. So a big social enterprise that everyone is going to recognize would be Patagonia.
Wow.
So some of the things that Patagonia is up to that their customers love and their employees love is a few years ago, they took a trip around, I think it was the U.S., in a sewing van and went and sought folks who had, their sweaters, their Patagonia sweaters that had a little tear and they were going to throw them out, get a new Patagonia. Instead, Patagonia drove around with their sewing, truck. And
I missed that whole scene, but I truly like it. That's so neat.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and we work with businesses, and that's on the for-profit end.
Yeah.
And we work with businesses, also that are nonprofits. So, anything from, locally, I would say Dorcas International is a great example. They, over the last few years, have built out a translation social enterprise that helps to fund their good work over there, working with refugees. So it's, these elements can exist in any business. It doesn't matter what the entity is. There's just so many options to integrate social meaning into a business.
Is there any hanging out there that haven't been taken that you would suggest to people listening and watching?
Any business ideas?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I think there are...
From a social justice perspective.
Yeah, there are so many models that are working all over the U.S. And one of the things that we are really interested in is replicating those models. If it's working, we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Yes.
Go out and find those models, and in an industry with an impact that really matters to you, replicate it, learn from those who are doing this work already, and then build off of it.
Wow. Pretty neat. It's very unique type of business.
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed this right here in Providence, Rhode Island. This is amazing. I am learning so much today. So tell me, how did you get into this business?
Yeah.
Was the college that you got there, or there was an opening in a job because you got meant to be in this business? You smile through the whole process talking about it. It must be exciting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like most millennials, I was looking for purpose in my work.
Wow.
And after working a couple years in a normal for-profit business, I decided to break out on my own, doing a couple of social enterprise projects, businesses on my own. After a few years of trying to make that work, I wanted to transition into an organization much like Social Enterprise Greenhouse to support those who were doing this work, because it is so lonely and difficult to do when you don't have a support network around you.
Oh, that's good to know. That's really good to know.
I mean, as you know, and this is why this show exists, is to create that community to hold women and everyone in their business development.
So, how did that get in you innately? How did that piece get in you? Is it from your family values? Was it going to school? How did that happen?
Well, I think
it's something we baby boomers ever thought about.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be in the culture today, but I think, a lot of us have backgrounds where we're either, quite privileged or have seen things that, in our communities that we'd really like to improve. And through working with nonprofits, I've seen that efficiency can be created through earned income, where the beneficiary that's receiving a service of a nonprofit can actually pay for that service at a certain level, and actually, help the business or help the nonprofit serve more folks. So I think there can be more efficiency in economic development, in social justice areas, if we create social enterprises.
Got it. So tell me, how did you get from there to here today?
So I grew up in Portland, Oregon.
Wow.
Moved to the Dominican Republic for 2 years to develop a few of these social enterprises.
You really have this in your heart.
Yeah.
This is so neat. Wow.
And then I found Social Enterprise Greenhouse through the AmeriCorps Vista program.
Oh, absolutely. Great programs.
Yeah. So that has been, critical in Social Enterprise Greenhouse's development. And I came on 3 years through that program and was fortunate enough to be hired out of that, and I've seen the organization grow 3 times in the last 3 years, which has been really exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, who's your executive director?
Our executive director is Kelly Ramirez.
Yeah.
She's been with the organization for about 8-9 years, and in that time we've rebranded from SVPRI, Social Venture Partners Rhode Island, to Social Enterprise Greenhouse. Over the last 3 years, we've moved from, 5 years, we've moved from Kelly's 3rd floor in her house
I love it. I totally love it already.
To a co-working space at 10 Duval Square, where we host 80 plus social enterprises as they grow and develop at many stages.
Wow. Can you give me one of your, not your favorites, but one that really sticks out in your mind that you can see has really started from the basic beginning and gone forward?
Yeah, so one of the things that really gets me going every day is that our network serves 60% women entrepreneurs, which is very unique.
Yes, it is.
In the entrepreneurial space. So one of those that comes to mind is Maternova. And we've worked with Maternova for about the last 8 years. They started in our Accelerator program with an idea about getting maternal medical devices out to nurses, such as Doctors Without Borders, in developing nations. And so they've really become kind of the eBay or Amazon of maternal healthcare. And they have grown exponentially in the last several years. So they started out in our Accelerator program, really found their model there, and then have now taken 2 loans from SEG. We also have a loan fund for very seed round funding. It's loan fund though. And then they also take part in a couple of our other programs. So we've seen them develop over the years, which has been really neat.
Wow, wow. Is there a need of an area that people are not approaching at this time? Something that, like your organizations, I wish someone would go into this and pick this up. Is there something out there? You can give people ideas on, like...
Well, I think in Rhode Island, we've found a lack of funding. So there's always, if you're interested in impact funding, for example, Maternova, is saving hundreds of thousands of lives, and so if that matters to you and you're able to invest and see a return of impact instead of return on with dollars, then that's something that would help develop this social enterprise scene in Rhode Island.
So if someone wanted to get involved financially to make an offering to that, how would they go about that?
Well, there are multiple ways you could do that. If you're interested in getting involved with the Social Enterprise Greenhouse, please reach out to myself or go to our website. You can always become a volunteer. You can make a donation to the Social Enterprise Greenhouse. We do make loans, so it can go toward that. And then there's always opportunities, with us and other organizations to come meet entrepreneurs that are doing great work, and it's just up to you to find a cause that really speaks to you.
Why don't you put your website out there, people?
Yeah, it's segreenhouse.org.
Question of volunteers. I just heard that word. Tell me how people can get involved in becoming a volunteer.
Yeah, so we're looking for volunteers that have expertise or general business experience. We do have a focus in food, health and wellness, and kind of energy, water, and environment. But we take volunteers, with any functional expertise as well. And you'll be put to good use working directly with social entrepreneurs. There are opportunities, teaching workshops or working one-on-one, holding some office hours at our co-working space. We're happy to work with you and excited to meet you.
So if someone wanted to volunteer and they have an expertise in training, would your organization give them the training to train them to be a trainer? Or are you looking for someone to, you said 60% of your clients are female. Are you looking for another female to hook up with another female and help them on board to get into business and do the social enterprise piece? Is that truly what you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for, it would be wonderful to have more women. Okay. So, definitely would like that. Mm-hmm. But we're happy to take anybody and help get them up to speed on what we're up to and how best to work with our entrepreneurs.
Well, being women in business, we come across a lot of women, so we really can start sending them your way, too. Because a lot of people on the show truly want to give back. I didn't realize you had a volunteer piece of this. This is fantastic.
Great. Yeah.
Now, how if an entrepreneur comes forward, would there be a cost to this? Is there a percentage cost, or how does that piece go? Everyone's always interested in the money part of it. Like, what's it going to cost me?
Yeah. So we don't take equity like many accelerators. There's a $500 registration fee for the accelerator in particular. And then we actually do something where if you succeed, we succeed as well. So if you increase your revenues by $100,000 within 2 years of graduation, then we ask you to contribute back to SEG about $2,000 to help us continue serving entrepreneurs that need scholarships and at a reduced rate. So all of our programs have a fairly nominal cost because, again, we're a nonprofit social enterprise. So we're about 17 to 20% sustainable from our earned revenue. And so we're trying to be a social enterprise. Walk the walk.
You definitely walk the walk and talk the talk. You truly do. That's amazing. And the pot about volunteers, if anyone wants to get on board, that's fantastic. So how many volunteers does the organization have now?
About 250.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize they were all volunteers.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
whoa,
it's
that's
pretty amazing.
fantastic. You're growing, you're totally growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to you as a child, who was the influence in your life to get you into this? There's got to be somebody back there that kind of like helped you in this direction, because this is totally your realm, I can tell.
Yeah, no, I mean, my mother was also a social justice advocate in the justice system. And so, I think finding what it is that you feel is the root of the issue and taking part in what you believe is most efficient to solve these problems has always been kind of in my family system.
Okay, so it's definitely in the culture of your family.
Yeah.
So is there something your mom did that really stuck with you that you remember as a kid? Because most people think, oh, my mom did this, and this. And I love to hear like positive things that mothers and fathers do.
Well, I, as a child, loved to have garage sales. Okay. So neither of my parents were in business, but obviously, that was kind of a part of my DNA. And so my parents, were very supportive of my every weekend garage sales, where I would kind of go around the house and pick up whatever I thought they wouldn't notice was disappearing and sell it on our front lawn.
You're kidding me. That is so cool. Well, and people showed up every week to buy. You were like part of the community.
I don't know about that.
So it wasn't lemonade for you. It was selling things in your family's house.
Yeah.
You should come to my house. I have so much clutter. It would work real well if you want to do that again. How about a mentor? Do you have a mentor today? And who is that? And how do they support you in the business world?
Yeah, I have a few mentors, and that's been, absolutely key to my professional development, as well as the organization's. I play the role of director of programs, and so having some experienced business folks to guide me through management and in new roles has been really crucial. So, and it's been really great to have multiple perspectives as well. So
I agree with you there. Some people get one mentor, and that's fine. I totally hear that. But I always like the idea of getting multiple perspectives. Yeah, I don't get to hear that too often. And I want to say that I totally hear you on that. And I really believe it gives you choice.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's really wonderful.
I don't get to hear that. I have one mentor. It's the person I got all the time. It's the person I did. I'm like, okay. I don't see it from that perspective. I see it from your perspective. I have multiple people. Sometimes my family say I just do it to get the answer I want. I don't know that, but I really love to hear all people's opinions on a topic that I'm really still trying to get my head around. You know? So
right.
I
Well,
hear that.
it helps you see the whole
The global.
picture.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how often would you use your mentor? Like, is it someone you can call, email, or text anytime, or?
Yes, I generally see my mentors maybe once every 2 weeks, and sometimes once a month.
Fantastic. So you really have a great relationship with them. That they know you're there.
Yeah.
They're going to be there for you.
Yep.
So we've got like a month and a half left, and I always like to hear from people two things. Number one, how do you balance it all? Everything we've been doing the show and all the workshops and trainings and things I do with my staff, it's a balance. It's a balance. And I don't know if I'll ever have that answer. I get up every day and just go through it. But how do you balance? Any tricks of the trade you want to pass on?
Well, it's all about balance, right?
It is,
I mean,
it is.
compartmentalizing everything
cool.
is key. I just started a master's program, so I've been practicing that a lot.
Yes, you have been.
But also
where are you going to school?
Brown University.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Great school. Oh, my God, the best school.
I'm excited. Yeah,
oh my God,
it's fun.
congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
wonderful.
thank you. But just having an amazing team has been so wonderful that, and that's part of working at an organization where everyone is really in tune with the cause. Everyone is, there for one another, both in and outside of work, and that's just been,
Yeah, it sounds like
couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, I hear that through this whole show, that they're all there. You're all there for each other.
Yeah.
And the cause is amazing. You certainly opened up my eyes. And one last thing I'd like to ask, of everything you've learned in your lifetime, what lesson would you like to pass on to the viewing or listening audience?
Take feedback.
Oh, wow, Emily, I like that. How about take feedback and don't take it personally?
Yes, that's great. Yeah, good addition.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, just being able to grow and take in these perspectives is essential to professional growth and personal growth as well.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting to know about the organization. They're so lucky to have you on staff. Good luck with your master's degree. It's a big step to even step into that. And you'll do fine, I can tell.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks so
Emily.
much for having me.
Thank you.